So yesterday, the Apple Watch Ultra 2 was presented at the Apple September event, and now the big question of course is it worth getting? Let's ramble.
Hold up, place go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it wants.
Hey, what's up guys? It's great to see you all again, and if you're new here, I'm Patrick and this is where I ramble about tech and other stuff. So before we go into detail about the Apple Watch Ultra 2, let's quickly discuss yesterday's event. I mean, the long-awaited Apple September event was finally upon us, and let's be honest, it was a bit of a snooze fest, wasn't it? There were two very prevalent messages during the event. The first one was, look how green we are, and the second recurring message was, you're pretty much gonna die unless you use our products. Anyway, right from the get-go, Uncle Timothy made it very clear that there was not much to expect from this event when he said, we're so excited you could join us today for some big announcements about two essential products, Apple Watch and iPhone. And unfortunately, he kept that promise. There were no real updates to the AirPods Pro, apart from the fact that the AirPods Pro 2s will now be shipping with a USB-C port. And that's great if this is going to be your first pair, or if you're upgrading from an older version, but I don't think anyone in their right mind that already owns the AirPods Pro 2s would shell out $250 just to get USB-C. Speaking of USB-C, I almost spat my water when they announced that USB-C has now become the universal charging standard. Okay, welcome to the future, Tim. Also absent from the event was an upgrade to the now almost 4 years old AirPods Max, which is a bit of a bummer. Personally, I was really hoping to see an iPad mini 7, but no dice. Now I know a new iPad mini wasn't technically part of this year's rumor mill, or at least not for the September event necessarily, but the announcement of the iPad mini 6 2 years ago also came quite unexpected, so I guess I was hoping for a one more thing. There was no more thing. Okay, so what did we get? Well, we got 4 new iPhones, the iPhone 15, 15 Plus, 15 Pro, and 15 Pro Max. For the purpose of this video, I don't want to go into too much detail about the new iPhones. I think it's fair to say that this is another incremental upgrade and nothing spectacular was announced. But I'm not gonna lie, I do like the idea of a titanium enclosure. It looked very cool on the renders, and as a video person, I'm also quite looking forward to trying out some of the new camera features. Although I am bummed out that Apple went back to saving the best features for the iPhone Pro Max. I much prefer the size of the regular Pro, but if you want the decked out iPhone, you're gonna have to go with the big boy this year. Now let's talk about what we came here for, and that is the new Apple Watch Ultra 2. And yes, I'm using air quotes here because let's face it, it ain't that new. Last week I dropped a video talking about whether you should wait for the Apple Watch Ultra 2 or just go ahead and buy the original, and I came to some mixed conclusions, depending on whether you already own an Apple Watch Ultra 1, I guess I will call it now, or whether you're coming from a Series 8 or a previous model. But after seeing yesterday's presentation, I'm gonna have to say that I do not recommend for anyone to buy the Apple Watch Ultra 2. Let me explain. We already kind of anticipated that this wasn't going to be an earth-shattering upgrade. I mean, the Apple Watch Ultra is only a year old, and it was kind of a big deal for Apple. In my opinion, it was the only truly new product Apple dropped last year, and it was certainly the one I got most excited about. I absolutely love my Ultra. I did a ton of videos on it throughout the year, and judging by your engagement on these videos, which is really great to see by the way, a lot of you guys feel the same way about this watch. So yeah, I was not expecting a major redesign or anything crazy in terms of upgrading. But there were a couple of things in the rumor circuit that did sound really exciting, such as an improved battery life and a new black version of the Apple Watch Ultra. Those two things could have and probably would have made me upgrade. Sadly, neither of these rumors materialized, and what we're left with is a very, very iterative upgrade. I mean, if a new watch face and some fresh colors on existing watch bands are some of the main features presented on stage, we're looking at a pretty still upgrade. The presentation started off by touting the Ultra as the most advanced Apple Watch with the biggest display and the longest battery life. And this is true for the Apple Watch I'm already wearing on my wrist today. The Ultra 2 has the same display and the exact same battery life of 36 hours or 72 hours in low power mode. Everything on the outside stays exactly the same, including the big orange action button. Under the hood, there are a few small changes. The Ultra 2 will have the new S9 chip. There's a new double tap feature that lets you operate some of the watch's features by tapping your fingers together, and there is a new on-device Siri, which basically means that Siri will not have to go online when you ask it to operate native watch features. If you ask it anything else, it will of course have to go online and find you the answers. The display also gets a boost from 2000 to 3000 nits, and I genuinely wonder who needs 3000 nits on a watch. 2000 nits is already incredibly bright enough to let you clearly see what's on the display even on the brightest days. So why do we need 3000 nits? A brighter flashlight? It does also drop all the way down to 1 nit, which I guess compensates for the 3000 nits peak brightness in terms of battery life. The most visible difference will be the new watch face that Apple calls Modular Ultra, which can accommodate more complications than any other Apple Watch face and uses the ambient light sensor to automatically go into night mode. While I don't care much about the latter personally, I do like the idea of having more complications on my watch face. With that said, I highly doubt that the Apple Watch Ultra 1 couldn't handle that watch face just as easily. And if this will only become available on the Ultra 2, it seems to me that it's just a tactic to upsell consumers into buying the newest model. There's also a couple of software improvements for activities like cycling, and divers can now keep a log of all their dives. Again, I would be surprised if the Ultra 1 couldn't run that just as good. So all in all, not that many changes and only very few that are truly exclusive by nature, like the extra nits of brightness. I was also a little bit disappointed by the selection of watch bands. I would have hoped for at least 1 or 2 new bands, but it looks like all we got is some new colors on existing bands. Now, to come back to the recommendation I made earlier, I would not recommend the Apple Watch Ultra 2 to anyone. If you already own an Apple Watch Ultra 1, there's really no reason you should be upgrading. It's basically the same watch. But even if you don't own an Apple Watch Ultra yet, and you're looking to upgrade from a Series 8 or an older model, I would still not recommend getting the Ultra 2. Why? Because you can find the original Ultra, which again is basically the same watch, for as low as $500. So my recommendation would be to save your money and wait for next year. I will definitely continue to enjoy my original Apple Watch Ultra for at least another year. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it one of these. It really does help the channel. Subscribe for more content and stay tuned for some links to videos you might also want to watch.